Welcome to Unsubscribe. I'm your host, Avani Jain. In this podcast, I'm going to show you how to intentionally opt out of anything that's robbing you of your energy, freedom, joy, and peace of mind. It's time to let it all go, finally, so that you can clear your mental inboxes and make space to subscribe to a life that truly lights your soul. If you're ready, hop in. We are embarking on the transformation of a lifetime. Hello. Welcome back to Unsubscribe. Today we are diving into Ask Me Anything episode number 2, and we are diving into specifically organization and money. So it's going to be a fun conversation. I'm really excited to dive in. So let's read the questions and get started. And by the way, I really loved the last Q&A, Ask Me Anything episode number 1. The first half definitely went a lot longer than I thought, so I'm glad we're breaking up into 2 episodes. And it's just so much fun for me to riff on ideas and thoughts, and I always want you all to feel welcome to send me those via Instagram at Avani M. Jain. Just DM me anytime if you have ideas for topics or questions that you have, because I want to talk about them. I want to talk about the burning questions, the burning things on your mind, because that's important. There's a reason that it's placed there. There's a reason why it's coming up for you, and it's probably coming up for a lot of other people too. So let's get back to it. Let's talk about organization. First question: how do you organize your trips? So it is no secret that we travel a lot. Tushar and I have a very busy life with visiting friends in other countries, visiting family in other states, visiting friends in other states, going on trips for his work or other related things. There's just so much happening. I don't even know how many trips we've been on in the last 1 year, but if I had to guess, I would venture to say at least 15, maybe 20, at least 15 for me and maybe 20 for Tushar. So we have to be super organized when it comes to planning our trips, planning our vacations, or whatever it is that we are doing, whether it's a road trip or a flight. And I want to talk about the different ways we do this. Number 1 is the planning the trip in terms of booking the trip. Now, we have an assistant who works with us and helps us do a lot of organization things. I'm going to be referring to her and her help a lot in this category because we are both really busy. We both run businesses and we need the help. We need the extra help. And so we're so grateful for our assistant. We've been working with her for 3 years now, and she's absolutely incredible, literally our lifeline. But she helps us book our trips. So in ClickUp, my favorite project management tool of all time, we have a travel list. And this is all the trips coming up. There's actually a calendar view so I can visually see when each trip is. And when it's time to go or plan on a new trip, we are able to coordinate in this list. And I have a template that I've created. I create it in this list and put the dates on it. So let's say we're going to San Diego in July. I will create the task, apply the template. And in the template, it has all of the little tasks related to planning that trip. Researching and booking the flights, researching, booking our car if we're needing a rental car or other transportation, researching and booking hotels. Or we often, for cities that we go to a lot, have our favorite hotels. So our assistant knows that. Researching and booking restaurants if we need food reservations, and making sure we have our agenda put into our calendar for the flights, for any events, like if we're going to a wedding or something, all the events are put into our calendar. So these are all subtasks in this main task in ClickUp. You can do this in Notion or anything else. So when I have a trip coming up, I will create a task, apply this template, and it already automatically gives us all the steps to do to plan that trip. Now, separately, after we plan the trip and it's booked, I have to prepare for it and pack. Now, in our little unit, I do the packing for both me and Tushar. So I am the one who's doing it for both of us. It's just something that works really well. It makes sure that I have oversight into his outfits, and I know what his look is going to be. I know what my look is going to be, how it's going to coordinate together and make sure we don't miss anything. I'm just much better at that than he is. So that's what I typically do. And we make lists. So I have a list in Notion with packing lists for every trip we've been on in the last year and a half. And what I can do is I can go back to a trip that's similar to the trip we're about to take, copy that packing list, it's essentially a template, and use that for the upcoming trip. And then I quickly go through it and I can make edits based on the specific trip. I actually write down what each outfit is going to be for each day, especially for me, because I feel like I'm super particular about that. Travel day, outfit X. Day at the beach, outfit Y. Travel day number 2, outfit Z. I'm very specific so that when I'm ready to go pack, I can just grab and go. Sometimes I'll even have our assistant who is helping me pack. I'll grab and go all the items and she will put them into the suitcase. So we have a little bit of extra help because sometimes it's not even about the packing part, it's about the figuring out what to pack part. So I have this template in Notion that I'm using to pack not just my clothes, but also Tushar's clothes. So this way I can plan it. As soon as I've planned everything, I can easily hand off most of that list to my assistant or do it myself in a much faster time frame because I've already done the thinking part of it. I'm separating the thinking of the packing from the actual doing of the packing. And for me, that's a big stress reliever because otherwise travel can bring up a lot of anxiety. Did I pack everything for everyone? Did I forget something? Oh no. Or later on, Tushar gets upset. I mean, he is always very gracious because he knows he's not the one doing the packing, but he feels a little sad that I forgot a specific belt or a specific pair of shoes. And so for me, writing that down ahead of time and anticipating what we're going to need on that trip, if we're going to go for a hike, for example, hiking shoes for both of us, having that in the list, doing the thinking separate from the doing of the packing and the planning on a trip helps so much. And it's really important that we have gotten this down to a system because we go on a lot of trips and we're often out and about. We come back in and a few days later, we're turning around and going somewhere else. So it's really important. Or we have a trip that has multiple legs. We're going to 3 different cities or something. And that's why it's really important for us to think and plan and pack this way. So those are mostly the tips on organizing trips. Typically, I like to have doubles of everything. So my toiletries, I have toiletries that I have at home, and I have a second set, full-size products or whatever it is, second set in my bag, my little toiletry kit that is for travel only. And for the travel only versions, sometimes I actually don't really have full-size versions of a lot of it. I have the travel size and I refill them like once every 2 months so that they're ready to go. Anytime I need to go on a trip, I can grab and go. I always am able to guide my assistant on how to do this as well so she can refill. And that way toiletries are ready to grab and go. My toiletry kit, Tishar's toiletry kit, ready to grab and go. And then I also have my makeup bag that I grab. I don't have doubles of that. I just don't wear makeup every single day. So it's easy for me to pre-pack my makeup bag a day or 2 in advance or even days in advance and throw it in the suitcase. The goal is to actually have the suitcase zipped up before I leave, like the night before I leave or hours before I leave. So I'm done packing and done thinking about my suitcase. And I'm not stressing about, did I forget something or do I have one more thing to add there? I don't need to stress about it at all because it's all zipped up and packed. And I thought about it. I checked everything off the list and it's ready to go. And I feel really grateful that I have come up with a system over years of practice and trial and error, lots and lots of error, because it gives me peace of mind as I'm going out the door. As I'm going out the door, we always have last minute things that we do, take out the trash, water the plants, and take out the compost, lock all the doors, turn the security system on, like all that little stuff that we do before we leave the house. And typically, if our assistant's around, we're able to work with her on doing those things. But it's a checklist that we both have in our minds of that last minute stuff that we're doing before we head out of the house. And we will split that checklist between us. So no one of us is doing all of it as we leave the home. Oftentimes, Tushar or I will have meetings till the very last minute that we have to go to the airport. So we like to make sure we're planning and organizing in this way, being really specific about it. The next piece that I wanted to mention regarding trips is when I'm on my way to the airport, I'm also prepping a few things. I'm taking my ID out of my wallet and putting it in an easily accessible location in my backpack. I'm also getting my boarding pass loaded and pulled up on my wallet app. So all of these things are ready to go. I don't have to dig into my wallet, to find my ID later on while I'm in line or 2 seconds before we step into talk to the TSA agent. Everything's ready to go. So anticipate what is it that you're going to need to have out and ready. Make sure you don't have any water in your water bottles. All that stuff that are like last minute stress inducing, anxiety inducing things, just get it taken care of and have your SOPs for when I'm packing for the trip, as we leave the house for a trip, and then when I'm on my way to the airport. So this becomes a habit for you every time you go on a trip. So these are a few things, and I think that's all I have to cover on organizing for trips. If you want to dive into any specific thing a little bit more, I'm very happy to. We go on a lot of trips. So I always love talking about this. Second question, how do you organize your life? Oh my gosh. I need a completely different episode for this, but I'm going to try to be succinct and I'm going to try to stay under a few minutes for this one. Number one, we use a project management system and we have an assistant. Oh my gosh. Day one, we started using ClickUp with our assistant, and I'm so grateful that we did because it has created peace of mind for everyone in the picture. For me, for my husband, for our assistant, we know that she has her game plan every single day. She knows what she's doing. It's all in ClickUp. We have transparency. I can go in and see what she's doing, and she can give us updates. We talk in ClickUp back and forth all the time. And it's one of the best ways for us to have a paper trail of anything. So if we have some kind of event like a pool party and we're planning for it and we try to think of like, wait, who did we use for that pool party last time? We can quickly do a search and ClickUp, and then we find that answer in seconds. We don't have to dig through paperwork. We don't have to dig through Google Drive or like notebooks or text messages. We have it all in one place in ClickUp, and that is our source of truth. I cannot stress enough how important it is when you're working with someone on a household. So that means if you're partnered with someone, if you have an assistant or both, or you have a household, a multi-generational household, I cannot stress how important it is to have some place where you can talk about the household things. Or even if you have roommates, it's a really great idea to do it. Maybe you have less big decisions to make together, but you still have some decisions to make together. So I just wanted to mention that. ClickUp, ClickUp, ClickUp. I love ClickUp, but you can use Notion. Notion's amazing. Asana is amazing. Trello's really good too. Like, just use something, please. What we do is we typically will have different sections within our ClickUp. So we have event planning sections if we're having guests over. We have a section for any home improvements that we're doing, any returns and purchases. We have a section for that. And we have a section for any like rental property we may be managing. We have like a bunch of different sections for different types of work, different categories of work. And we will often try to use templates. So when we want to purchase something, like we're going to purchase a hose that goes on our deck, we do quick research tasks for that purchase. So we try to stay organized instead of like having a big email that goes out like, hey, here's all the things I found and a bunch of links. We try to have a template for that research task. So our assistant will go do research on here are all the amazing hoses you can have on your deck. Here's the prices, here are the pros and cons, here are the ratings, here's the length of the hose, and this is why I think you should buy X. She has a template that she can go and use when she's going to be going to do a shopping research task. And so that helps us keep organized from a shopping and like, let's figure out what to do for this thing that we want to purchase standpoint. You can use this to buy a home, you can use this to buy a car, you can use this for so many different things. Another thing that's really important is we have this hub inside ClickUp. It's like a wiki for our household, and it has everything that you can imagine. It has notes for, doctors and people we like to go to for personal care, like haircuts and nails and all the different things, like preferred vendors, all the vendors who come and work at our house. I guess they're not called vendors. They're like service providers, people who might do our lawn, people who might help us with fixing things around the house. We have this basically gigantic wiki of everything related to our home, everything related to our preferences, where we like to go out to eat, maybe even things like birthdays, people in our family's birthdays we want to remember to buy gifts for. All this stuff is accumulated in one place. It's like our one go-to place for all of those little items that we may want to keep track of in our lives. It's been a game changer because it allows us to know where things are at any point in time. It's like the go-to place, the knowledge base. And I also like to put in one thing that's been really helpful for me is to put in gift cards. So whenever I receive a gift card, I'm like, oh, wait, I need to remember to use that gift card. Wait, where is that gift card? And I lose gift cards and I don't ever use them. And it's very sad. So instead, as soon as I get a gift card, I give it to my assistant. She puts it with the number and the store into our little wiki. And later on, we can find it. We can use that gift card whenever we want, which is so great. So those are a few pointers on how we organize our lives using ClickUp. And I want to talk about the next piece because it's related, is how do we communicate with our assistant? We have an incredible assistant, like I said. In Slack, we have a bunch of different channels that we have. And one is for restocking if anything runs out around the house. One is for returns. When I have to return something like Amazon, I just screenshot and drop the screenshot in there. And then I also have a task and ClickUp. Any purchases, events that we're having, we have a mail channel, we have a household projects channel, we have a cars channel if there's like car wash things or car related items, general, travel. So there's a bunch of different channels that we can talk and keep things together, conversations together. And we really like Slack because it's a channel that my husband uses a lot and it's an easy way for him to chime in on things. And then my assistant and I talk a lot on ClickUp. We go back and forth and then that becomes our source of truth. So Slack is where that quick exchange happens and all of us, all three of us, are able to be part of that channel. And then ClickUp is where we have a paper trail. We have everything saved. We have decisions there, and that's our task management system to keep track of projects and things like that. And we use text message, like iMessage, for quick communications on things happening in real time. And that's kind of how we separate and organize everything. I want to share this really, really amazing hack I figured out using texting and ClickUp. It's like the coolest thing I've put together, and it's helped our whole team, me, my husband, and our assistant, work so smoothly together. It also helps us not bother her on the weekends when we come up with lots of ideas because we're not traveling for a weekend and we're at home and we have lots of things to do around the house and need her help. So I created this integration using Zapier. I designed a Zap that allows a website called SimpleTexting.com to create a phone number, receive a text message, connect through Zapier, and then create a task and ClickUp. And it automatically assigns that task and ClickUp to our assistant to work on next time she's online. So she's able to see that. And I don't have to text her a text message and she has to like be interrupted in her weekend or evening. Instead, I can text this phone number that then has it in her queue next time she logs into her computer. It's been so amazing for us to like just text this phone number really quickly when we have an idea of, hey, we need to do X, or like this thing is broken, we need to do Y. And I just love that this has solved the problem of my husband, Tushar, does not use ClickUp and never will. And that's okay. I'm okay with him never using ClickUp. And I want him to somehow be integrated into our system. So I found this hack with Zapier and SimpleTexting, and it's changed the game for us. I love it so much that I wanted to share with you because I think it really can help if you have a partner that doesn't want to use ClickUp, or somebody who doesn't want to use ClickUp, or if you do use ClickUp, you can still set it up and use it yourself and then send yourself tasks really easily, really quickly, and then triage them later, even if you don't have an assistant. So I love this setup because it streamlines task creation and automates it in a beautiful way. And it's one of my favorite, I guess, hacks on how we communicate with our assistant, how we keep the whole household running. And the crazy thing is, when you have, and I guess I'm a broken record now because I'm going to say the same thing I keep saying, when you have systems like this, it doesn't sound sexy, it doesn't sound beautiful, it doesn't sound fun to set up, right? But it is worth taking the time to sit down, spend an afternoon, spend a few days setting up, because what a system like this does is it provides freedom in your life. It provides you the ability to say, finally, I can take that to-do list off of my mental ticker and let it live somewhere else. And it lives in ClickUp. It has given me so much peace of mind. It's given me so much space. This one episode has actually allowed me to have a more regulated nervous system. So maybe I should refer to this in the previous episode, but it's just so powerful when you're able to have a system you can rely on. And it doesn't have to be with an assistant. You can have this system and use it just yourself, you and your partner, just you. Being organized and treating your personal life like a business is something that is super underrated, and people don't talk about it enough. Somehow, as an adult today, we're expected to somehow fit everything else outside of work magically into nights and weekends. How do we do that? Especially when so much feels like it is expected of us. How do we do that? You tell me. How do we do that without having systems? Or how do we keep up with it without having systems? There's no other way that I've found except having some kind of systematic way to approach the adulting things in life. Like something breaks down, your car breaks down, your house breaks down, your doctor appointment happens. We need to keep track of it somehow. And I feel like the world, society does us an injustice. So I'm here to say I would love to invite you and me to unsubscribe to the stress of adulting. I want all of us to, together as a collective, hard opt out of the stress that living life in 2024 brings. I'm talking about the travel stress, the managing a house stress, the insurance stress, the tax stress. Let's just stay organized and use something that can really help us elevate out of that low vibe feeling and into a place where, we have those things in our lives, but it's just a piece of cake because we've already organized and planned out how we're going to do it. And we can relax and take a deep breath and release and go live our lives and hang out at the pool or something. So took me over 20 minutes to get through 3 questions today. So we're going to be putting off that money conversation for the next episode. I am psyched for the money conversation because I think it's going to be the juiciest Ask Me Anything out of all of the Ask Me Anything I'm doing this round. So this is episode number 2. We talked about organization, and then we're going to dive into money, crypto, splitting financials, and what to do when you feel really, really terrible after getting fired. We're going to talk about all of that and more. So join me in the next episode next week, but thank you so much for listening in. I hope you had as much fun listening to this as I had recording it. Talk to you soon.